So number one rule is GCF. Look for common term. Look for common term. So put in the chat box, what is the biggest number that goes into 54, 48, and 24? And they're going to be looking for the amount of variables. So we're looking for the biggest number and smallest quantity of each variable. Okay. Biggest number and smallest quantity of each variable. Okay, good. Okay, yeah. So 6 is the biggest number that goes into all of those. 2 goes into them, 3 goes into them, but 6 is the biggest. Okay. Then we're comparing our u's. I've got u to the 2, 1, and 3. The smallest is 1. The smallest is 1. And then I look at my v's. I have v to the 2, 3, or 1. The smallest is 1. And we're going to divide those out. I'm going to shift this just a little bit so I can get it closer to me. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. So as we're dividing this by 6u, I'm actually doing it more in my head than on paper. So 54 divided by 6 is 9. U to the 2, take away u to the 1, leave the u to the 1. And V2, take away V1 is V. So we're dividing these. So 48 divided by 6 is 8. U to the 1, take away 1 is gone. They cancel. And V to the 3, take away 1 is 2. And last, 24 divided by 6 is 4. U to the 3, take away 1 is 2. And V to the 1, take away 1, cancel. So that would be your answer for number 1. Make sure you have that one copied down. Number 3. Okay, so for those of you that are just joining us, we're going over 12 factoring review problems. I haven't posted this assignment. I'll be doing that as soon as class is over. But we are going over these 12. Okay. So number 3. What's the biggest number that goes into 8, 72, 56, and 32? And then how many X's and or Y's can I take out? Put that in the chat box, please. And while you guys are doing that, any questions as to how I got the answer to number 1? Okay, Jackie and Nathan have it, good. Okay. Once you get the number, tell me how many X's and or Y's. Good. Don't forget, I'm looking for participation, guys. Come on. We're all in this together. We're all zooming. We're all zooming today. Jackie, you're close. Remember, it has to be in every term in order for us to be able to take it out. Okay, good. Good. Okay, so I'm only hearing from about 10 people right now, and there's 22 of you. Okay. So the biggest number that goes into 8, 72, 56, and 32 is 8. So 8. Okay. Thank you, Ernesto, but we're actually doing number 3. That's the answer for number 5. Thank you, though. That's perfect. Okay, so I have x to the 10, 7, 5, and 5. So I can take x to the 5. Y's, I've got none, none, 1, and none. And the smallest quantity is none. So I can't take out a y because it's not common to every term. Okay, common factor. So if I take this out, 8x to the 5. Sounds like something's burning in my classroom. 8x to the 5, 8x to the 5, and 8x to the 5. Okay, so the 8s would cancel. 10 take away 5 is x to the 5. Okay, then I have a plus 9. 7 minus 5 is x to the 2. 56 divided by 8 is 7. The x to the 5's cancel, and I have a y left over. Minus 32 divided by 8 is 4, and x to the 5's cancel. Okay, so if you put y in your answer, can you tell me now if you understand why it's not supposed to be there? Do you understand why the y is not supposed to be in your answer? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, this should not have a y in it because it's not common to every term. It was only in that one. It's not common to every term. Therefore, it can't be out here. That's like a special elite club or something. Okay. Okay. Number 5. Move this up a little bit. Number 5, factoring it. Basically, we're looking for square roots. So what do we have to multiply? Put your answer in the chat box. What do we have to multiply to get 25x squared? And what do we have to multiply to get 4? Good. Okay. Nice. So we have to have a 5x and a 5x. We have to have a 2 and a 2. One's a plus and one's a minus. You're done. Okay. So what we're really looking at is square root of 25x squared is 5x, and the square root of 4 is 2. That's how I'm getting these numbers. See, this is difference of squares only. Okay. And then one is a plus and one is a minus, and it does not matter what order. So put your answer for number 7 in the chat box. If you don't want to use parentheses, then you can just separate it with spaces, several spaces. Put your answer for number 7 in the chat box. There's several of you that I haven't heard from yet. I'm going to start calling people out. Lauren, Matthias, Daniela, Levi, Katie, Esme, Sylvester, Ram, Dominic, Junior. Where are you guys at? Thank you. There you are. Nice. Awesome. Okay. Yep. Everybody so far has the correct answer. Good. So when I square an x, I get x squared. So x and x, 2 and 2, minus and plus, or plus and minus, you're done. Awesome. Okay, very nice. Okay, so number 9, because we can. Put the answer in the chat box. Okay, good, nice. Because we have to square a 4r. So we're looking at the square root of 16r squared is 4r. And the square root of 25 is 5. Okay. So we have 4r and 4r plus 5 minus 5, and you're done. Okay. So for those of you that added after I said it, this is a review for the quiz this week. This is a review for the quiz this week. Okay. All right. Let's talk about basic factoring. Now, first of all, I do not want to see any factor by grouping. I know some of you learned it that way and it works for you, but I want you to be able to do it this way also. It takes too long to do factor by grouping, and I guarantee you your Algebra 2 teacher is not going to be happy if that's the way you choose to do it. Maybe for homework, but for classwork, tests, it's just not going to be time efficient. Okay. So let's look at, I'm going to start with 15. Okay. I'm not going to go in the order that it is. So what are the 2 signs that'll multiply to give me a positive? What are the 2 signs that'll multiply to give me a positive? Put it in the chat box. Or just say it out loud. I'm running short on time here. Okay, good. Okay, so I have positive times positive in the chat box. That is true. So positive times positive equals positive. What else? What else? What times what will give me a positive besides a positive and a positive? Yep, a negative and a negative. Negative times negative is equal to a positive. Those are my only 2 options. Thank you, guys. And this one right here tells me which one it is. This one tells me what I had. So I'm going to know that both of my signs are positive just from looking at that. I don't have to know anything about the numbers or anything. I just know that both of my signs are going to be positive. Okay. Over here, like number 18, over here, I know that I have to have, in this case, a negative and a negative because this is negative. So I know that both my signs are negative. Now, I don't teach doing the signs first. I'm just doing this so you can understand that I already know I'm going to have 2 negatives. Okay, so when I do this one, I want my numbers that multiply to equal 32 and add, because of the plus, to equal 12. So what would those numbers be? Put it in the chat box. What's going to multiply to equal 32 and add to give me 12? Put it in the chat box. Good. Thank you. Nice. Perfect. Yeah, you already got the answer, whole answer. Good. Nice. Couple more. I mean, what are my numbers that are going to multiply to give me 32 and add together to give me 12? Good. Nice. Okay, so everybody in the chat box got it right. We have 8 and 4. 8, and 4. So I have n and n. I have 8 and 4, and I already know that I'm going to have two positives. But if I put the bigger number first, remember way back when we learned about negative and positives, and we know that the bigger number dominates the sign. The bigger number dominates the sign. Okay. So in this case, we know that the 8 would dominate. That rhymed. 8 will dominate. But the positive times a positive is going to give me a positive. And we know that 8 plus 4 is going to equal 12. Okay. 8 plus 4 will equal to 12. But it's a different story when we have a negative. It's a different story when we have a negative right here. The only two signs that's going to give me a negative is a positive and a negative, one of each. So I already know that on 11, 13, 17, 14, those are all going to be one of each. So don't do the signs first, okay? Because you don't know which one goes with which yet, okay? So now here, I want the factors of 24 to multiply to equal 24 and subtract to equal 2. So what do you think? Multiply to give me 24 and subtract to give me 2. Good. Nice. Thank you guys for your participation. I appreciate that. Yes. Okay. Nice. Okay, good. So yes, it is 6 and 4. So I have n and 6, n and 4. Notice I put the bigger number first just because it was easier. Because I know that the bigger number is going to dominate. The bigger number is going to dominate, and it's going to have this sign. If the bigger number dominates, or since the bigger number dominates, it's going to have the front sign. And then I know that the other one is going to be the opposite sign, because I know that a positive times a negative is going to give me the negative. Does this seem to help a little bit with this more detailed explanation? Can you put that in the chat box for me? Okay, good. Nice. Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. I really do. Okay. Okay. So let's do number 13. So we have x and x. Okay, what are my factors of 8 that'll subtract to give me 7? And we've talked about this for a while. If your middle term is one bigger or one smaller, we're going to use this number and 1. So we're going to use 8 times 1 to equal 8, and 8 minus 1 to equal 7. So we're going to have 8 and 1. And the bigger number dominates. Bigger number dominates. That's why I put it in front. So I have a negative. Yes, Andrew, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then a negative times a positive will give me my negative. Okay, so x minus 8 and x plus 1. Last one on the basic factoring. Last one on the basic factoring. My numbers that will multiply to give me 10 and subtract to give me 3. So I have m and m. Well, I like M&Ms. But I need the numbers that'll multiply to give me 10 and subtract to give me 3. Okay. So those numbers would be 5 and 2. And the bigger number dominates. So bigger number, I'll write it down, dominates. So I'm going to put the 5 and then the 2. And because the bigger number dominates, I'm going to bring down my plus. And plus times negative gives me negative. Thank you, Genevieve, or Gianna. Appreciate that, Gianna. No problem. Okay. So let's do probably one or two rainbow problems. There's three right here. Okay. So what we're doing is we're working on, and I'm gonna do number 21 first. Okay. This is the rainbow where we take the front number and multiply it by the last number. Okay, so in the chat box, tell me what I get. What's my first step? What am I going to get? Okay, yeah, I will. I'll get that. So x squared. Does the 20 change? Does the negative 20 change? Yes or no? Who else? Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah, awesome. The 20 does not change. It stays right like it is. Plus 36. Okay. So now I'm looking at my factors of 36 that add to give me 20. This one is one that we don't think of too often. Okay. So I'm going to use 18 times 2 to equal 36. Because 18 plus 2 will give me the 20. So x and x, 18 and 2. And if I bring down my negative, I know that negative times a negative will give me the positive. Okay, now what? What am I going to do now? Good. Okay, Emma's got it. Who else? Nice. Thank you, Jackie. Nice. Good, Aiden. Okay. Yeah. That thing that I multiplied away a minute ago, I have to bring it back. So we have to divide by 3. Both sides. Okay, so this divides evenly. So we get x minus 6. This doesn't divide evenly and it doesn't reduce. So I'm going to move the 3 to the front. 3x minus 2. And you're done. 3x and x gives me 3x squared. Negative 6 and a negative 2 gives me a positive 12. Okay, and there's my final answer. If I were taking a test, I would probably go ahead and say negative 18x and negative 2x equals negative 20x, just to be sure. Okay. Don't forget to reduce. Don't forget to reduce if needed, okay? Before I move that denominator, I must make sure that I can't reduce it, okay, to like a half or 4/5 or something, okay? So I'm gonna leave those other two for you. And we're gonna call it done. There's only like 2 minutes left anyway. So any questions that I can answer? Did this help? Kind of put it all together. We've covered 4 different ways of factoring, and that's all on this one worksheet. Does anybody need me to zoom out so they can take a picture? It'd be kind of small, but there we go. Okay. Okay. Let me make it a little bit bigger in case people needed a bigger picture. Okay, so there's that part. Okay, for pictures. And then this part. Okay. Okay,